So hello, my name is Matt Hogan, and just a brief introduction and the purpose of this video. The purpose of this video is to demonstrate an application that I'm putting together for Age of Sigmar. A little bit of background behind myself: I'm a software engineer for Nokia's mapping division here. I've been playing Warhammer probably for off and on for about 5-6 years. And with the release of Age of Sigmar, I know that even just playing with my brother, being able to have some form of application or some form of system to be able to tell me if what I'm doing is balanced or fair, so both of us have fun. And as an engineer, I don't really have a lot of time to sit around and talk about what list would be fair, so it'd be nice at playtime, right before we play, to sit down and just be able to, as we're putting on models, be able to determine if the game that we're about to play is fair. So yeah, that's a little bit about me and a little bit about behind this application. Another reason for this video is I'm doing this all on my own. The application will be free, most likely initially for some period of time, unless there's a lot of support needed. And then at that point, I'll probably open up for donations to continue development on the application. A little bit of background behind the application and plans for the application, and currently where I'm at. I'd like to discuss that as well. So I guess the current state of the application is I have a drop down for most of the old armies that were in the War Scrolls released just recently by Games Workshop. You can select any of the factions that exist in this list, and also I'm currently being able to add things like the Stormcast Eternals or the Blood Reavers into this list. It won't take me very long. So the application is relatively easy to upgrade and add items in. It'll probably take me about a day or two to get an army in, maybe 4 or 5 hours max. So yeah, basically currently I'm inputting the Empire. I have all the other armies input. And once I'm done with getting the army's input, what I'm going to do is, in this point balance location, for each unit that you add into your list, just basically looking at that unit alone, it will place your current point value for your entire army. If you wanted to get more details for each individual unit and where point costs are coming from, I provide. Currently it's empty because I don't have anything added to my army list, but there's basically a list of all the current scrolls. You can view that scroll and view exactly which points are, where the points come from. Other things I'd like to add into the application is the ability to look at the relationships between keywords and abilities that are granted by other units via those keywords. That will be done after I enter in all the war scrolls and I get a good working point system in place. The intention of the point system isn't to replicate work done by in Warhammer Fantasy Battles version 8 or before that. It's essentially just to inform the players where they are with what models they've brought or what models they're placing on the table to provide for a roughly balanced game. Things the software cannot do is it cannot predict all scenarios. It can't look at terrain bonuses because of the randomness of that. And the other things is certain items give you D3 or D6 amount of damage, or targets a whole unit, and knowing the unit size ahead of time in your enemy's list is not possible. So what it does is it looks at the worst case scenario for all things that are subtly random, and basically just looks at the worst case and says, if you get the max value for everything in the game, then this is the potential of your army. Also currently the application runs in Windows, Linux, and on Android. Goals would be to get it to work on a Mac, but I don't currently own a Mac, and those are rather expensive. So unless someone were to fund me, you might not see it on Mac. So that said, let's just dive into the application. Currently you'll notice that only 1 point is added per unit to the point balance. That's because the actual calculations are not in place. I have plans for doing that, and I'll be creating a video later to discuss how I'm approaching that. Another thing I'd like to do is open up to the community to contribute their input at some point, because of the statistical nature of the game. The more input I have, the more this balancer can do. Like other unlike other army builder lists like Army Builder or Scribe or other, you can probably name a couple of other ones. They had the advantage of having a point system handed to them, whereas this is trying to assign points or value to your current army, and it's almost taking on the job of Games Workshop in determining those calculations. So I won't say much more. I'll just kind of dive into the application. So as I said, I'll just be looking at the armies that I have done. There might still be some bugs. I am inputting and slowly going back over the things that I've put in to make sure that there are very few bugs, but in software there's always going to be bugs. I apologize also for being quiet, relatively quiet. I have my daughter and my son both asleep in adjacent rooms, so if the volume on this is bad, I apologize. Okay, so let's just dive in. So I have Beastmen. Let's just add in a Beast Lord. So you basically select your faction, select the war scroll that you want, and click Add. In here, in this secondary window, in the Add window, I guess we'll call it, you can specify the model count. This is all based off of what comes from the war scrolls, and you have a series of upgrades. You'll notice that there are no scroll bars. It's all done with the mouse or on Android, done with finger gestures. So yeah, you can add a Beast Lord with a Man Ripper Axe and a Brace Shield by simply clicking on that button. Click Add to Army. You'll notice, as I said, it only adds 1 to the point value, or to the point balance, because that portion of the software is not done. So if you wanted to, you can go in and select the Beast Lord. Click View Scroll. This text is copy and pastable. I might make an actual UI for it, but currently it's just hard-coded text. So you see he has a Man Ripper Axe. Those are the stats for the axe. You can see that he has a Brace Shield. The point cost for having that Brace Shield, because it does increase his save by 1, is 2. For most abilities or things that add additional things outside of weapons or characteristics, I use 1, 2, or 3 currently to represent their strength or their ability to bolster your army. And then you have your abilities, other abilities that are just innately given, like for example, Grizzly Trophy. You don't have to pay, you don't have to click anything to get this ability. It's given to all Beast Lords, and you can see that it's their command ability. Currently won't be considering that in the point cost. Might come in later when I try to connect all the synergies. You have your keywords. Yeah, so that's your Beast Lord. Then you come back and we want to add in something else besides a Beast Lord. So let's just say we're going to play a simple game. We add in some gores. You see here that I can specify model counts. So let's say we add 20. And we want them to have gore blades and beast shields. And here's your unit upgrades. You'll notice that you can select all 3, whereas up here you can only select 1 because you can't give a unit both weapons. So yeah, add that to the army. Go back, we can view it again. We can view that they have beast shields. In this case, because it allows the reroll, I think a reroll on a 6 or something of that nature, the cost of it's not as high as the Beast Lords, which increases its save. Yeah, so I think that just for this introductory video, that's just kind of sufficient to show what the software is going to do and what it can currently do. As I stated before, for those that are curious on where the software is at and would like to know more information, as time goes on, I will be posting more videos. If people are really interested, I can provide my email. If people are interested in actually contributing to the software and actually doing some coding, the source code is version controlled and can be in software terminology cloned and be modified by other users. It's open source. So yeah, that's it. Currently the name of the application is called Army Balancer. That name might change to something that's more catching as time goes on. But yeah, that's my application. Like I said, my name is Matt Hogan. This purpose of the software is to aid in making the game more fair. Perhaps could be used later on down the line for tournament play. And I hope to, in the next couple of weeks, maybe 3 to 4 weeks, have all the Army's input and debugged and be able to find some way to provide the software, as an installer on Windows, or put it up on the Android market so you can also pull it down. And for those that use Linux, probably just provide you with a package installer to install that onto your computer. So thank you very much, and take care. Bye.